the political leaders have put the deadline as 2015. As you know, it was previously 2020, and they have now recognized how important it is to bring forward because of the challenges that ASEAN is facing. So 2015 is a figure that they have chosen, and I think the governments of ASEAN are working towards achieving that objective. But I must say that we just have 4 more years. But looking at the work that needs to be done, that still needs to be done, although some work has been done, especially in the economic area, the blueprint, the action plan, and in the area of goods, I think we have achieved substantive progress. But in the area of services, I think we have some way to go. And in terms of investment, again, there are some important areas that we need to, the governments will need to sort out in order to make that region attractive. And then in terms of freer flow of skilled labor, not free flow of skilled labor, freer flow of capital, there's some aspects that need to be sorted out. So in all, I must say that in 2015, a lot of progress would have been achieved, but I'm not so sure whether we can really say that we have reached an ASEAN economic community where indeed we have addressed all the problems relating to the region. So, but we have to accept it that this is an ASEAN way of doing it, and perhaps 2015 is not going to be the end. There will be still a lot of new initiatives and work on new initiatives that will be carried out.
So, in your opinion, how can we get the private sectors to engage in ASEAN's process of community building?
I think this is a very, very important question, I must say, because I'm one of those who have strongly advocated that you cannot get the economic action plan effectively implemented if there is no conduit or channel where the private sector is able to interact with the bureaucrats, the policymakers, on a systematic and regular basis. And I think it's important that we have a structured channel of communication between the private sector and the policymakers. Right now, as you know, there is the existence of ASEAN CCCI, which has been there for many, many years. And I personally do not find that structure effective in getting appropriate feedback, inputs, ideas from the private sector that can be channeled to the economic ministers as well as to the leaders. So I would like to strongly advocate that we relook at how the private sector and the bureaucrat and then the policymakers could interact more on a systematic, regular basis with a formal structure where there will be a continuous flow of ideas and feedback coming from the private sector to the governments of ASEAN. I think this has not been done. We have, of course, also the ASEAN Business Advisory Council, but these comprise representatives. There are business people, yes, they're trying their best to see what can be done within ASEAN. But I see that the ASEAN Business Advisory Council comprises individuals who I'm not so sure whether they have that interaction with their own business community in the respective countries, that they can get a common position and relay it back to ASEAN. And likewise, when they have attended meetings, for example, what issues have come up and what needs to be done, also need to be reported back, or there need to be a dialogue with the industries, to get their feedback. Yeah, so I think it's important that there is that effective communication channels established. So for that reason, I believe the ABAC can function as it is, but I think we need to look at the ASEAN CCCI, how it can be, it should be reviewed, how it can be streamlined, how we can make it more effective with proper working groups or task forces specializing in specific sectors. So that when we talk about integrating sectors, or having a sector that is free from trade, barriers, what have you, there has to be a continuous exercise. And I think the private sector is the one that will be able to guide the policymakers to make improvements in this area, which I must say in all sincerity is not the way it is being done now.